Welcome to another edition of Wings Weekly. Jay Klein Connect here, and of course, head coach Steve Jennings on a Tuesday this time. Tuesday, 2/22/22. There you go, folks. That only happens once every 100 years or something like that?
At least.
Maybe never.
Could be longer.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So let's jump into it here, Coach. Over the weekend, of course, you had road trips up to Minot there. A 6-5 win, a shootout win, in fact, on Friday night. That was a real back-and-forth game. You get up fairly early, a minute and a half, something like that, in Gaffney's goal, and then they just kept kind of answering back and ended up tying it up with a minute 34 left. What were your guys' thoughts as a staff about Friday night's matchup? I mean, you got to love a win, but
yeah, you have to love a win. I think they answered back, we answered back, right? So that's the growth part where you go like we're seeing some good growth there. When guys aren't, when it's going a little sideways, aren't giving in to the push. So that part's good, and we find a way. I mean, giving up that late goal on that late shorthanded goal was that hurt for sure. And we have players that we expect to make plays, and at that point, didn't happen. But we stay in, find a way, get through a kill there, right, and in the overtime, and win in the shootout. So the resilience to stick with it's important, and that's what the guys have to learn. Like at this point in the year. It's unfortunate to say, but games like that happen once in a while, and I don't like it, and I don't want it, and I don't encourage it. I don't think we accept it, but the reality is that happened, right? And we want to move past that, and I think Saturday night you saw a much more controlled game there, but again we're in a dogfight there on Saturday night.
Well, we move on to Saturday night, and a game that saw an ejection and game misconduct 21 seconds in, and then it just seemed like there were penalties after penalties after penalties, and a big night for special teams for both sides, really. I mean, because it came down to that, where I feel like there was only about 5 minutes of that entire game where it was 5-on-5, but ended up being a 1-3 loss. Of course, the empty netter towards the end there, and you guys pushed back, but there a lot of energy in the building there on Saturday night, and it just kind of felt like, especially in the first period, that any energy or momentum that you guys had coming off of a win got sucked out because of the way things were going, and it was like anytime there was any contact, there was a penalty. It seemed like, and it felt frustrating. I don't know how it went as a player or as a coach, but I know just watching it, it felt. I don't know, just like something needed to change. I don't know exactly what it was, but I think I used the term reset in the broadcast, and it felt like that. Just we wanted to start over almost. What were your guys' thoughts on Saturday? Yeah,
I think Saturday night, getting out to having that penalty called early, right? I think you get through that penalty kill, which was really important. By the end of that kill, we were almost even in shots. And then another call right after that, right? So it kind of made it hard to get momentum going there. And I think first period we get through that. Second period, I thought we pushed back really strong, and I thought we actually started to get that momentum we were after. Third period, we gave up that goal, and the first, I didn't like the start of our game, and the start of the third, I think our first 5 minutes were lacking. We gave them that opportunity there. And then we fought back through the entire rest of that period, and I thought we pushed back pretty well. But part of pushing back is actually completing the task, and we didn't do that, right? And we had some looks that we did not finish, and that's what we talked about. As we got back and through practice today, it's about when we have those opportunities. It's not about just getting the opportunities. It's actually about finishing the chance, and not just getting the look, but actually scoring the goal and getting that. And unfortunately, they got one more than we did, and then we gave up the empty netter. And I think we had, even on the empty netter, I think we had the opportunity to make a different play. And had we done that, I think we would have had success. And the reality is we turn that puck over and it goes in the back of our net.
Well, and it feels like it's to a point in the season now where there's just such small things. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like there's just a slight adjustment or a slight difference can make a huge difference when in the overall outcome of a game or whatever. Or towards the beginning of the year, you see bigger mistakes. It feels like, you know what I mean? Like where things are starting to be a little more polished, but yet. All it takes is just a little bit of a breakdown, and these teams will take advantage of it.
And we do the same to other teams as well.
Oh, without a doubt,
right? And that's part of this is we have to see both sides of this, right? Like, as much as we are hard on ourselves and we want to be perfect, right? The other side is, we do the same to other people.
Yeah.
Right. But certainly on Saturday night we didn't do enough of it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like we had an opportunity, I thought, and we talked very clearly. I thought Saturday night we had a genuine opportunity, and I think we let that one slip through our hand, and we have to stop doing that.
Yeah.
We talked about that, right? Like when we have momentum, when we have things going, and you're fighting in a hostile environment, and you're fighting a bunch of other things that are beyond the control. And having a way to find success, we need to finish finding that success.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad you pointed that out, because when I said that, that was a broad statement, I wasn't necessarily even talking about the Wings particularly. It's for every team, and it seems like every team in the Central for sure, because every team is opportunistic, and when there is just a slight breakdown or something, it's amazing what a difference it can make. You got Minot again coming up here. Now that's three weekends out of 4 where you have faced these Minotauros. Last road trip, regular season road trip up there. They come down here to the ODI Center this weekend. Again, this is a team you've seen a lot of. What do you have to do as a unit to be able to hopefully come away with some wins?
Yeah, I think our start's going to be really important, right? Mm-hmm. And managing the emotion of it all, right? That will certainly be part of it. And staying out of the box, and I have a lot of other things I'd like to say that I could offer suggestions for, but can't. But I think, for us, it's just kind of staying in the moment and focusing on what we can do and on our task, and letting all the other stuff and all the feedback and the emotion just roll down our back, because that's what the important part is. The important part this weekend is the 2 wins we want to get, right? And having a good weekend again here at the Odie, and building off the momentum that we're starting to build, because we are.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we had that 5-game losing streak last month, and I think we're digging out of that, and we need to keep pushing. And we talked to the guys about that, right? We need to continue to push forward, because we have opportunities with people.
Mm-hmm. Well, looking at the standings, St. Cloud right now, they are now in first place, 55 points. Austin with 50 after St. Cloud swept them 2 weekends in a row. Wings now with 49 points in third place. Minot then with 48. North Iowa with 44, and Bismarck with 39. Again, when you look at games played, St. Cloud's got some ground to make up. They've got a handful of games in hand. In fact, 4 over Minot, for example. Wings have a game as well. How do I word this? I know how important it is to look at each game one at a time. You can't start looking ahead. But do you guys start to look at the standings a little bit and start to kind of, because it has been so close and the standings, have shuffled around a little bit. Austin, again, having some trouble with St. Cloud. St. Cloud seems to be improving. All these teams have won on any given weekend, including Bismarck, who's sitting at the bottom. Do you guys start to pay attention a little bit more?
For sure. And I won't say that we haven't been paying attention all the way through the season, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the important part. Like, the standings, you get through the weekend, maybe we're not, micro-analyzing on a Friday night, let's say, but yeah, you get through the weekend for sure. And at this point, both nights we are, for sure. And we looked at that, and it's one of the things we talked about, right? Like, we're trying to gain, and we're asking people around the division to give us a little bit of help. And when they give us that help, we need to take advantage of it, mm-hmm. right? And so, that's happening, and everyone feels the same back with us, right? So I think, games in hand are important for us. Standings important for us. You're down to the final 16 games of the year. Like, there's opportunity here, right? And we're sitting at 23 wins, which is great, but we don't want to stop at 23 wins, right? We want to keep pushing and pushing, and that's where, I talk to the guys, like, yeah, the bigger picture is really important, but the only thing that matters on Friday night literally is Friday night. We can't worry about Saturday on Friday night. And people who do that set themselves up for failure, right? Because when you think in the long term and the short term, you get the cart before the horse, and that creates problems. And we have to have an eye on the bigger picture for sure, and we do, and we're driving at that. But at the same point, we need to get through Friday night, and then after we get through Friday night, we need to get through Saturday night. Yeah. And doing it a step at a time, that's the important thing.
Yeah, and you're so right. I mean, because it is easy to get ahead of yourself a little bit. So, you kind of, like you said, cart before the horse is easy enough, and then that creates problems. But again, a very tight Central Division. And, like you said, I've spoke to many people when we're on the road, whether it's fans, whether it's even off-ice staff or whatever. Everyone talks about how it's a crazy Central Division right now. So All right, well, Coach, that's about all I've got for you here. I appreciate you taking some time to talk with us, though, and best of luck coming up against the Minotauros.
All right, thanks, Jay.
All right, folks, we'll be back with our second portion of Wings Weekly with a player joining me coming up after this.
We raise the bar on bar food with sandwiches, tenders, and burgers. There's more where this came from. To the greatest of all times.
We continue on with Wings Weekly, and as usual, a player is joining me. This time it is Seamus Campbell of St. Louis, Missouri. So, it's kind of weird to even call you Seamus. Everybody calls you Soupy. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for coming on the show and taking some time to talk with us a little bit. You were on last year. You're a veteran guy. Just like when we have Kate on or whatever, it feels a little redundant to ask some of the same questions. So I thought we just kind of go back and forth a little bit. But in case somebody missed it, tell us a little bit about how you got going with the game of hockey or the sport. Obviously, your dad was a huge influence.
Yeah, growing up with a dad that played in the NHL, he kind of was just like. He obviously wanted his son to play hockey, so he strapped the skates on me and sent me out there. And it was like, play hockey.
Yeah.
And then I got pretty good at it, so I kept doing it.
Tell me, what advice would he give you? Is there anything that stuck out when you were young that, because, not everybody has that kind of a resource,
Well, yeah, it was, the one I remember vividly is score more goals. Just produce more, and that's the one I got ingrained into my head the most.
Great piece of advice. Score more than they do, and be more productive. All right, but how about even when it comes to skating or anything like that? Were there any tips or anything that might stand out to somebody? Like, because most people around here, we always talk about having backyard rinks or, playground kind of rinks and stuff where you start to learn to skate. And then, places like the Expo or the OD here for open skate, but you don't have anybody that actually can teach you like you did. So that's pretty cool. Did you get a chance to go to a lot of the games?
I remember a couple, there were a few big ones, I guess, that I can remember spots of,
yeah.
But I don't remember being all right, let's go. But I remember the atmosphere at the most, probably.
What would you say is, and I asked Amel this last week, what would you say is your best or most important hockey moments? Whether it's in your career or whatever, because I know Luke talked about when his dad had refed as the linesman officiated his 1500th game and how he got to go out on the ice and stuff, and he said that along with championships that he has won and so on kind of stuck out. Is there anything like that for you in your hockey career? Just
major moments that I would take with me.
Just something that sticks out.
I guess the weekend or the week I committed to play D1, I went to the Null Top Prospects weekend, and after that I went and had a few practices with Lincoln, the Lincoln Stars, and then right after that I committed. So that whole ordeal was pretty big for me, I'd say.
Kind of a whirlwind too, huh?
Yeah, it was. I was playing in the NA3 that year also, so that was here you go, here's the world.
Yeah.
And then I guess just some high school moments I would remember, my team hadn't made it to the quarterfinals, and I think it was 30 years or something, and I got to be a part of that for the first time, or making it past that for whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just some of those.
Yeah, those monumental moments for sure in a player's career for sure. And you were, like I said, you're a veteran guy. You were here last year, and what would you say is some of the similarities and some of the differences? Obviously, you've got different characters, different personalities, but are there some differences between last year's team and this year's team?
Well, I'd say no. I'd say the goal is obviously to not.
That doesn't change.
Yeah, but I'd say other than just individually the different characters, I say we try to keep the culture the same. We try to keep the family going, and
right.
But as far as playing here, nope, still got the same loving fans, same environment. It's great.
Yeah, the fans are pretty passionate, that's for sure. What does that mean to you guys? I know that's something that gets asked a lot, and of course, everyone can say, "Oh, it's huge." But when we go to other buildings, and sometimes there isn't as passionate of a crowd, or even as big of a crowd. And when you guys come out of that tunnel and they go crazy, or when you score a goal and you can look up in the stands and they're all, ringing cowbells and going nuts. That's what I've noticed too, that when you score, you interact with the fans, like whether it's a pyramid that gets knocked over, or pointing at somebody in the stands, or whatever, you're jumping into the glass, all those kinds of things. There you go, you're the perfect selling. That's does that? How much does that add to your?
I'd say, it just. I wouldn't say like I'm doing it for them. I'm not saying like that.
Right.
I'm just saying it makes it more fun when like you're playing at home and you include the home. That would make
Well, and I know, especially with the pyramid, those guys were absolutely loving that. I was watching how much fun they were having with, and that's such a big part of it is the environment. I've talked to a lot of people who didn't know anything about hockey, and they came to a Wings game and had an absolute blast, and then they became diehard fans. And I think part of it is because of the family feel and the whole atmosphere. So, and obviously the excitement of the game is a big part of that too. But all right, you're a movie guy. We were talking about this earlier, but I know last year too you were telling me that you. The question I asked you last year was what job you would do if you couldn't play hockey, or what was your dream job? And it surprised me because you're big into film and stuff, and you want to basically be a screenwriter.
Yeah.
Is that still the case?
Yeah.
What about that appeals to you?
Well, like, I guess like the feeling is like, when you watch a movie and you're like, oh man, that blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like, oh, someone put a lot of work into that movie. Like, that was entertaining. That is like the best feeling ever when I caused that for somebody. So like that as a job, to get paid money for that, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Let's do that. All right, so you're a movie guy. I got to ask you, if you had, say, 5 movies that you were telling somebody, you've got to see these. Before you die, these are the best movies that I've ever come across. What would you say they are?
Man, this is a big question.
Yeah.
This is just very, very big. And I'm going to sound like such a stereotypical film kid.
Well,
but
that's all right.
Just see them. Just watch these movies and you're going to get it. I would say
See, one thing, you're putting too much pressure on yourself because you have to understand, a stereotypical film kid, I don't even know what that is, and I don't think most people around here do.
Yeah, but like if I say like Pulp Fiction, everybody's gonna be like, well, duh. And Pulp Fiction, obviously, that's one of them. I think I'd say Baby Driver or Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Either one of those, you can't go wrong. It's the same director. He does a great job.
Okay. Well, you went with Pulp Fiction. Any other Quentin Tarantino?
Pulp Fiction, yeah. I would just say like Tarantino. Watch all of him, just all of that. Fight Club, that's a great one.
Okay, you can't talk about it though.
Of course, you're right. You're right. I'm not even a part of it. Look at my face.
But there's some.
Now I'm excited to watch Fight Club. Now I really want to go watch that movie. Now I want to go watch that. And then just I would say if I'm making a list of movies that you watch, I would pick something that's not normally what you would watch.
Yeah. But you're saying directors, maybe that's a better way to go because there's certain ones that are your favorites or whatever.
Yeah. So like Tarantino, Scorsese, Fincher, he does Fight Club, doesn't he? Right? I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Fincher's good. Okay. And then, but Edgar Wright, I think he does the Baby Driver and Scott Pilgrim. He also does the Shaun of the Dead. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have not. I've heard of it.
He's good. He does a lot of music with his movies too. So it's great. It's great. You got to check it out.
Definitely a movie guy. That's for sure. All right. Moving on. We you have got Minot again. This time at home makes a difference, obviously, like we talked about with the environment and everything. What do you feel like as a team that you guys need to do against the Minotauros to try to get some distance between them and you in the standings and be able to come up with some wins here this weekend?
Honestly, we just got to do what we do and just, focus on ourselves realistically. I think we just need to have our attention to detail up and just play our game. And I think they just can't keep up with us and when we do what we do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a matter of consistency. Coach and I have talked about that all season long, that when you guys are on, it's tough to play against you for sure. But
we just need to be on.
Yeah. Right on. Speaking of being on. All right. Well, I think that's really about all I got for you. And like I said, it's a little different being a veteran because I know, all of the questions about hobbies and all those kinds of things that I usually ask guys, it's usually when they're new. So, fans kind of already have an opportunity to kind of know a little bit about the vets. So I dig a little deeper, go a little different direction. But again, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Before I go into the weekend of activity that's coming up, I want to make sure and congratulate the Aberdeen Cougar Pee Wee C state champs. They are back-to-back state champs after the weekend. Great weekend for them. Congratulations. The Wings wrap up February at home against the Minot Minotauros. Doors open at 5:30 both nights, and the puck hits the ice at 7:15. Friday, it's I Hate Winter. Show us your best summer attire. Plus, we welcome Dakota Land Federal Credit Union as the game's corporate sponsor inside the Automex Party Deck. Saturday is Teacher Appreciation Night. Just show your school ID at the door and receive a $5 general admission ticket. We welcome Starion Bank as the game's corporate sponsor inside the Automex Party Deck. Plus, we welcome the Roncalli Elementary School Choir for the game's national anthem. And we welcome fans to join us after the game for a post-game party at Buffalo Wings and Rings. Get your tickets ahead of the weekend's games online at tickets.aberdeenwings.com or at the door on game nights. You can also get $10 general admission tickets at any Sea Express location in Aberdeen with additional purchase. A few corporate night sponsorships are still available in 2022. Call Aaron at 380-5852 to see what's open. Don't forget, Wings Weekly is now a podcast. Find the audio for this season's episodes on Spotify, Stitcher, or iHeartRadio. And for all the latest news and information on the Wings, visit AberdeenWings.com or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok. Once again, Seamus Campbell, thanks so much for joining us here on Wings Weekly, and best of luck against Minot.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that'll wrap up this week's Wings Weekly.